Welcome to the Santa Cruz Coffee Break. If you're watching on YouTube or listening on Apple Podcast, please follow, hit the like button, or any subscribes. It really helps us with the algorithms. Santa Cruz Coffee Break is produced by the Santa Cruz Guitar Players Forum. All opinions are those of the speakers. We invite you to join us on the Santa Cruz Guitar Players Forum at SCGC for more fun. Now, let's get on with this installment of Santa Cruz Coffee Break.
You know, Thanksgiving traditionally is really beautiful weather, and I hope we get that this year because, of course, everything is different these days. But
Yes.
today here in Santa Cruz, it's beautiful. It's probably like low 70s.
Nice.
Yeah, it's really kind of, the weather's really great. We'd like to welcome everybody to the 67th podcast of the Santa Cruz Guitar Players Forum. And as you saw on the very opening there, today we're going to talk to Richard Hoover. And we're going to talk about whatever we want to, but we're going to kind of focus on some guitars that SCGC is creating for NAMM coming up here in January. So welcome, Richard.
Thank you. Glad to be here.
Well, and this is kind of a follow-up to the podcast we did with Aaron Lucas, because that's one of the special features of these NAMM guitars is this Cypress tops, recovered, salvaged, ancient, whatever other superlatives can be thrown in there about them. But Richard, tell us more about them.
Sure. Well, I'm going to set a tone here. This is not about any one special wood, although there's plenty of them involved in this project. What this is as an ethos is I've got 55 years in this wonderful, trade art. And over that time, I've been exposed to, acquired some stuff that was just so exceptional. It was too good to just use, right? So being a boy and a human being, it's like, oh, I'll save that till later. So 55 years later, it's later. And this treasure trove of rare and beautiful woods is the vehicle to make this statement. I can't help but be a little self-promotional in this, but over the last half a century, Santa Cruz has really changed the way that guitars are made. I get that all the time from the smallest guys up to the biggest companies, that we've influenced the level of quality rising, what's possible to do, and really a concentration on sound rather than just marketing and cosmetics. And I'm really proud of that. That was one of my goals to start out with. One of my career goals was to bring the exquisite detail and value of orchestral violin into the guitar world. And it hadn't really existed before that. So we not only use these woods as a shameless attention-seeking device, but we have our 50 years of experience as custom builders, and we stand on the shoulders of giants with a violin tradition and every guitar maker that's come before us. So here's where it gets a little hard for me to promote. It sounds a little selfish, but when we started out, using these woods would have been questionable, what value we added. But where we stand today in the market as far as respect, integrity, etc., we're only one of the few builders that should use these kind of woods. They're irreplaceable, and they're of value in themselves, but in a guitar, they need to be in the hands of people that really know what they're doing. So when we build these instruments, we go back to, we're showcasing these woods, but we're also combining a half a century of developing our expertise and the value. And again, these guitars, if you use these woods in a large mass production brand, I'm sure people would buy them, but what would their value be some years down the line? And this is a good little fact here. The guitars that we built in the beginning in the 70s, Koa dreadnoughts, because that's what all he would buy was the Dreadnought. And we were a really family. People didn't make guitars. Gibson and Martin made guitars. So for us to offer a guitar from people, first, there was no precedent for what to charge for that. And we charged $450 wholesale for a Koa Dreadnought back then. And I may have given you this anecdote, but we couldn't afford to go to the NAMM show. We couldn't afford to display at the NAMM show at all. And we took turns playing the guitar and passing out leaflets at the front door for people to go by. And I remember after talking to some major retailer, everybody's my dad's age, of course. And this retailer is very well respected. And he put his hand on my shoulder and he says, son, the first thing you've got to realize about this business is nobody's going to pay no $500 for a guitar. And we were there, we were there. Our retail price was $900. So today, those same guitars are seen on Reverb, different stores advertising at over $9,000. That's a really great return on investment, if I might say. But it's not whimsical. It's based on how the market perceives the value of what we do. So this is a little esoteric here, but these woods in combination with our ability to build an exceptionally sounding and playing guitar and the market history, they're going to be crazy good investments as well going towards the future. And we're not showing these off to tell people where we're going or any shift in what we do. Is to point out to people that here's what we're capable of and we're the best people to do it. Did any of that make sense?
It did.
Good.
I'm
practicing
actually, I'm really knocked out by that statement that people shouldn't be allowed to use these. These woods are so precious. And you're absolutely right. These are, we don't think about that. We don't think about things like that being that definable or something like that. You do, I mean, because that's your world. But the average consumer just doesn't think about that kind of thing. And maybe there's enough for 6 guitars. I mean, that's Martin's doing that in 8 seconds.
That's really right. So, I've been at this a really long time, and I'm self-confessed, wood problem with this. So I have put aside a lot of stuff in the scope of Martin or Gibson or Taylor, but it's nothing. For us, it represents enough to put this concept together and offer. And this is very interesting. We're not offering these woods to our dealers as you order whatever you want, we'll put this fancy wood in. Now, the part of this package is also my expertise in design, which isn't, all come from Luthery. I grew up with classic design and, both commercially and art. And I understand proportions and how things go together. And I know how to maximize the value of something through proportions, combinations of color tones and that kind of thing. So these will be, pretty much my designs that I put into these guitars, making you even more unique in that regard. So back to, no, we have more than 6. I frankly don't know how many guitars we could do with that because they're different woods. They may involve different inlays and stuff that's also difficult. But we're talking about dozens, not hundreds.
What are the wood? Would you tell us what the woods are going to be?
Yeah, whenever I go like, should I? I probably shouldn't. But for the nature of this, because I feel at home in this podcast, is what we have, of course, is Brazilian rosewood. And when we see Brazilian rosewood offering today's, it's kind of like what's been picked through over the last 50 years. This is the stuff that's no excuses to die for beautiful, beautiful woods and their appropriate density for great sound. And that's another part of it. Just because it's the name of a really rare wood or it is pretty doesn't mean it's the right thing, the appropriate thing for an acoustic guitar. So this combines all that, the aesthetic, the beauty, the density is treated so it's going to sound the best possible. Then we have woods that are so rare, I don't think we'll see them again. And, we've talked about Cowrie in the past that's carbon dated at 45,000 years old. Where are you going to get that? And not only is it Cowrie, but it's got a beautiful figure, it's the right density, etc. On the kind of common scale, wood mahogany that would have been harvested or the tree would have fallen, centuries ago. And that stuff, it has no tonal equal, you just can't get it. We have recently decided to cut loose with some Pernambuco, which a lot of people know as the prize, the stuff for violin bows. And it became hard to get, 30 years ago, even in the size for a violin bow. So a piece big enough for a guitar is truly exceptional. And this is like this crazy big beeswing kind of bubble-like figure that if you didn't play guitar or care about wood, would be astounding in its look. And it was just so cool. I couldn't use it. I was restricted from using it because I never see it again. So in this context, that's another wood that we'll use in that. We have, if you thought of this, over the last 30 years, every time you heard about a really difficult, hard to get wood that was super desirable and super expensive, we probably have a sample of that. And we would be talking about, Tunnel 13, redwood, Fort Ross redwood, Lost Tunnel redwood, and some of these things that had a great story behind it. And we saved one or two pieces. Otherwise, you can't find it. So another facet of this is the history that lies behind these woods as well. And I know you're asking for specifics. What do we have? We've got a lot, right?
Well,
I'm thinking of some others that are really difficult to get. African blackwood in its proper form is nearly impossible to get. It was used for eons to make woodwinds, clarinets, and that kind of thing. And to get a piece big enough for a guitar is really, really hard. And there's some residuals out there where people were able to buy from old inventories and so forth, but not the sexy stuff. So I could, me and wood, I could go on and on and on. If you want me to, I will.
Well, I think what Richard was asking there was if you could give us more insight into what these special guitars you're building for the NAMM show are going to be, because
Sure.
we're the impression you're making a couple of just premium showcase kind of pieces.
We are. And we're shamelessly adding tasteful decoration to them. So I'll go through them. We have one made out of a Brazilian rosewood that I've literally had for 40 years. Like this is what I'm going to make the guitar for. The most important person in the world, and now it's time to do that. So beautiful, beautiful old growth Brazilian. We also are making one out of the Bryn Athyn Brazilian, and that story is this is a cathedral that was built at the turn of the century, 1890s to 1900, and this was wood that was brought in specifically for the bright work and the cathedral. And what they didn't use, they stored in the perfect environment, an old stone building like a cave. So humidity, temperature, et cetera, is all consistent. And the idea with that was eventually they'd have to repair or replace. And here was the wood. So 120 years later, they decided, we're really not going to use this. It should go to something noble. And they knew us by reputation and called up and wanted to turn this wood into musical instruments. And that stuff is it's like finding a Stradivarius in the attic. So we're building a guitar out of that, and it's spooky pretty. Um, it's not it's not all super gold and bright like a more contemporary. It's oxidized a lot, and so it's kind of a smoky color with these golden highlights that come out like little flame. And that's very. We're doing one out of California, and again, this wood is carbon dated at 45,000 years old, and this is the same. A sister to the same set that we made for one of the probably the most famous male actors in the world today, because he just wanted the coolest. And it's got this really deep flame in it. And when you turn it in the light, it'll make you jump because it looks like it dives in and out about 1.5 inches. It's truly incredible. And then the last one is kind of a personal, a personal promotion. And you guys have heard me talk about, I've wanted to get mahogany the respect it deserves as a tone wood, and we've done a good job at that. What this is walnut, and walnut's been hardly misunderstood. It's been misused. Some companies promoted some really plain, poor quality stuff, and they put it in cheap guitars. So people don't truly understand what the potential is of nice walnut as a tone wood. And this is this has never been seen before. It's got this micro flame in it that they're only about 1/8 of an inch apart. And what it reminds me of is as a little kid going to church, and the old lady in the pew ahead of your hair was blue, and it was in a permanent wave, this really tight little wave. And that's what this looks like to me, while being chocolate, chartreuse, brown, etc. So that's the one that we combined with the ancient cypress. It was, how much fun we've had with the ancient spruce. The ancient cypress is similar in age and even older, but it's first and foremost, it's a great tone wood. It's got the right weight to strength ratio and responsiveness. But the color of that head on may look a little a little tannish gray, but when you turn the light, it'll shine with like kind of a green and a chartreuse and a bronze. It's really spectacular. And that's another one where we're probably not going to see much of that in the future. So there's the woods, but also what we're doing with overlays, fingerboards, and some of the decorative work is equally unusual and rare. So these guitars each have, in the peg head, imagine this, there's a window. There's an oval window that goes all the way through the peg head, and that's got like an ivory. It looks like ivory. It's actually a corian. Ivory is unconscionable, but it's like got an ivory frame, and suspended in that, looking like it's floating, is a jewel. And we did a diamond, a ruby, a sapphire in these guitars, and it's really a crazy attention-seeking device. It's our style isn't to do bling in your face. It's to let you discover these wonderful things, and that's not what you first look at. But you look closer at the peg head, and you go, they really did that. And that's going to be a blast. That's going to be really, really fun.
Oh, I can't wait to see those. I doubt I may not see them in person. I can't wait to see the pictures. I can say that.
You can, and we'll have a little bit of time before we go down to the NAMM show after they're complete. Not much, but I'll try to remember to let you know. We're trying our best to have them done for promotion through some of the the most credible and sophisticated music publications, like Acoustic Guitar, Peghead Nation, Jimmy Leslie, a guitar player, really champions our cause. And so people get a preview of those before we go down. But, most importantly, we don't make anything that's not an exquisite sounding guitar, just in the super exceptional range. So these are deadly serious instruments that I hope will go to use and not just collections.
Right, right. No, it's the walnut. I agree with you. I happen to have a Santa Cruz 12 string that's walnut, and
That's great.
it's
Yeah.
a glorious instrument. I'd love to hear more instruments in walnut. I think that it's unfortunate that as a domestic hardwood, it doesn't get the respect that imported stuff seems to get. But it's a wonderful material for guitars.
Well, Ted, you may know this, but this is kind of a delicious fact here. Up around the Chico area, going to Northern California, that was an area that was that walnuts were really an essential crop. Also, where I lived, grew up in the San Joaquin Valley, walnuts were a big deal. And the nut-bearing walnut that people have in the orchards isn't very durable. It's not very resistant to bugs or decay, and so the shelf life of those were really short. You have to plant a new tree, which wasn't really practical. And what was developed is to bring in, a black walnut strain from Europe for the tree trunks, and then the nut-bearing part was grafted on top of that. So what we're reclaiming here, and reclaiming is an important part of our message, is the trunks of those trees that are not only the European variety with more tonal potential, density, and color, but this particular genetic strain that came into Chico, a couple of generations ago, had this incredible propensity for flame and figure. And that doesn't happen very often. And that makes it really rare. So when I was a kid, there was so many walnut orchards that seasonally people would go collect them for firewood or fence posts or whatever. It was relatively common. And people would look at a real flamey piece and go, "Oh, how about that?" And then throw it into the fireplace. Today, if you can think of 50 years later, how many Walmarts, parking lots, cities, suburbs, who knows what, golf courses have taken over those, and the walnut industry's gone overseas. That stuff is super rare. The people that are in that business know where every little smidgen of it goes. And so to get the good stuff, it's like you don't go out to buy it. It happens to you, kind of like Brazilian rosewood. So that's how uncommon and rare it is today. And then to get the cream of the crop, the most pretty, the most resonant, etc. And that's really what I'm trying to promote here, is the good walnut as a really desirable tone wood. So I've always got that message underlying any promotion I do, which is to get respect for responsibly reclaimed woods, because actually it's better than cutting a tree and drying the wood as far as beauty, resonance, etc. So, I'm on a mission.
Yeah, no, that's great. When I was much younger, I did drive up to Chico at one time in my old Chevy pickup truck and managed to buy some walnut that turned into a couple of coffee tables and a couple of other things. And back in those days, the walnut, the biggest problem was finding people who would cut it up, because most of the trees were getting pushed over and burned. Nowadays, that's right. It is so hard to find that stuff. And the graft walnut, where they join those two trees together, that's a huge favorite with bowl turners and people like that who really want to take advantage of that confluence of the grain and the color.
Maybe we'd like to share the esoteric name for that. It's beautiful, it's descriptive, but unfortunately for more than one thing, and they call it a feathery crotch.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Well, this is intriguing. I can't wait to see these guitars. I mean, I do love the sound of a good Brazilian rosewood guitar, but I got to say the mahoganies, and especially intrigued with hearing more of the walnut.
Mhm.
But no, the word that caught my ear there was Pernambuco.
Yeah. Mhm.
Yeah,
Someday
I
you're gonna
gotta,
have to show me that.
I gotta share the visualization that ran through my head when you were talking about that, Richard. It, it's like you're walking. I visualized you in a flea market. I don't know, for some reason. And you were walking along, and all of a sudden you saw that hunk of wood.
Uh-huh.
Your body just lit up. You know? You elevated off the ground when you saw it. A very funny visualization, because you deserve this.
It is.
You
It's
deserve to do that.
yeah,
Dang it.
it's one of those ones that we really know this is not going to turn up again. Um, so where should it go? And that's where we are right now. And that's the operative words here is it's time. You know, it's time for me to turn over the stewardship of this wood to others and put it to use. It's not doing us or the world any good sitting on a shelf. And putting it in a real expensive guitar makes it something that people will take care of and honor. And it's just the right thing to do, in my opinion.
Yeah, we no disagreement here.
Yeah.
So there may be, you know, I could clarify here. Now we will make succeeding vault guitars, probably maybe for a year, uh, uh, as as we go, because this takes, you know, when you put this into a, you know, ongoing enterprise where you're paying your payroll and your rent and so forth, you know, these things aren't grossly profitable.
Right.
Um, because they take the people that are absolute masterful at what they do here, the best in the world, and to be able to capture their time to work on this specifically until we get it out. So I'm really not going to calculate what it costs us to do or what it costs us to acquire or what the cost of that money was over 40 years. It gets pretty frightening. So you know, it's more an affair of the heart rather than, again, I don't want to dismiss any other company, but you know, if a giant company offered these, it'd be just one of many promotional things, and that's that makes this one really special. I'm going to have
Wouldn't
fun.
you? Yeah, it shows in your face. There's no doubt about it.
I'm glad you like it. That's good.
Is it so? It's so exciting. I no idea the depth of you know, when we talked a little bit on about the Cypress, and he said, you know, there's going to be these really amazing guitars, and I went, well, yeah, everything is amazing that really comes out of there, but it's so much deeper than that, and the fact that you really want these things played, you know, rather than to be collected, you want them played. That's what they should do, and that's the extended life that you'll give these formless pieces of wood, you know.
Well,
And
and
then
I think that the thing that needs to be emphasized is that there are a lot of companies where some marketing person may come in and say, well, let's use this really expensive wood and let's use this and let's use this and we're going to put something together and we're going to make a big splash in the market. That's not what this is. This is really, to me, I'm excited because this is 50 plus years of your experience as a luthier and 50 plus years of acquiring beautiful materials and putting that experience and that expertise and that skill set together to create. They will be rare, but that's not the point of them. The point is to really allow you to show how your peak of experience and expertise has just all come together, and that's just an amazing thing. That's what's so rare about this, is there are very few other people in the world who could combine all that at one place at one time and create these things.
yeah, the company that would build it, the big company that would build it, they would just show it, as you said, Richard. They would just show up, and it'd be a big marketing event and all that stuff. And who built it? Well, our team. You hold this up. Who built it? No, you're taking personal responsibility for this.
That's a great way to put it. And, I don't expect anybody to share my obsessions or anything like that, but I would like people to share my profound respect for the materials that were entrusted to make something of true value, not conceptual, not a fashion that'll fade, but something of timeless value, and that can contribute to somebody's creative expression that I like to say could change international borders. It's that powerful. And, of course, underlying this is to let people know we can put that care, and we do, into everything that we build. And these are, shameless attention-seeking devices to let people know that. And I could have said this, but it was really important breakthrough for me was explaining this to a dealer, and they said, I can mention a couple of makers that have offered us guitars made out of like really special woods, but then we've got that brand of guitar and people don't, it just doesn't fit, right? What they're putting in this brand of guitar, that's not what they specialize in, and future value will be affected accordingly. So I don't mean to mix my message. These aren't built as investment things, but a byproduct is they're going to be great investments. I wish I had the wherewithal to keep one. I'm a guitar maker. I know what these cost.
Something about the cobbler's shoes comes up. Cobbler's kids.
Yeah, that's amen to that. Amen to that. But we've talked about this many times. The value I get out of not building guitars, but the association with the people that we deal with, both as wood vendors and customers, etc., makes me rich. And I've got enough, mind you. But I'm not in this to like stack up or accumulate wealth. I'm in it for quality of life, as we all should be in our professions, right? If you have enough, you're rich and you want joy out of what you do, because no amount of money will make up for a job that puts lead in your heart or keeps you awake at night.
Too true. Too true. Well, we will have to wait, I guess, until maybe later in December or even January, and we will look forward to seeing the publicity pictures on these instruments, and hopefully even maybe some video of some outstanding players, since you have so many surrounding you and playing them, because that will be quite the experience.
Sure. And this is going to be limited just by the nature of what we do. We can't put this kind of value into something and sit around on it for 6 months before we sell it. We don't have those kind of reserves. So the amount of time we have to complete this, show it off the show, and then send it to its owners is pretty short. So you guys always have a backstage pass. You should come by and see these things in progress. And you can take some of your own photographs, and most importantly, just get a feel for what's going on here. Yeah, come on.
We're there.
Yeah, I was gonna say I'll take that as an invitation. I will be there shortly.
We're there. Well, if you're not going to get anywhere in the Bay Area shortly today, Pat.
Well, that's
today, yeah.
There's nothing
mention,
moving.
Yeah, we should mention that we're doing this podcast the day before Thanksgiving. And for those people who are on top of it and catching this podcast, I wanted to bring up that I noticed that you're having a sale on all kinds of accessories and goodies that people might want to drop hints to their significant others. You want to tell us a little about that?
Thank you for that. Yeah, we have wonderful stuff where you can support us and feel part of us, through wearing a t-shirt and that kind of thing. That's very, very welcome. The strings are kind of a story unto themselves. Anything that we don't have the capability of making ourselves and we have to buy on the market, the market's developed to please most of the people most of the time. That's not what we do. We want to do the best possible. So when it comes to things like strings, we talked this many times, guitar strings are made for the most people most of the time. To make truly exceptional guitar strings of the quality a violin player would want on their instrument, it took a lot to do, and that's what we've developed. And we have a promotion on the strings, the price of strings, and also subscriptions. And this is a really interesting concept, and I thought this at the very beginning. I'd go way too long changing my strings because I had to go get them. Right. And now you can get them online, but you still have to wait. And I know that I'd change my strings at least 6 times a year on some guitars, maybe 12 on others. And our subscription setup is so that, you tell us what you want and we send the strings to you. They arrive when you're ready to change them. And there's always little premiums that we'll do with that. We'll send a treat along with it or a discount. But the subscription is a beautiful thing to give to a guitar player.
Yeah.
Really welcome, really useful. And we are promoting that, you're right. We don't have the kind of bullhorn as a big company does to promote products. We really rely on our quality, word of mouth. And every once in a while, we get a chance to make a blast. And that's what we're doing here. Again, shameless attention-seeking device, but really true value.
Yeah, we'll post this in the morning with that caveat.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
Along with that, yeah.
Now, if I could, I've said this before. We're of course we're not set up as a charity, although we do a lot of charitable stuff. And when it comes to the strings, if we made them just for our guitars, which is the original purpose, they would cost us $180 a set, right? But when we scale it to a larger amount, we can get the price down, and that's the huge benefit for us by doing this. And the price compared to other strings is high, but the value is multiples what you'd buy in the marketplace. And if you haven't tried them, try them. You'll like them.
The baritone set that's on my resonator, tuned down to some ungodly basement tones.
Yeah.
It just goes up and down, and it around, and they slap back into tone. They slap back into tune and hold tune. I think they're 3 months old now. That's a bad thing to say. But
it speaks to its longevity. And let me throw this in. The precision of manufacture that we demand in them gives us more longevity than a coating or a wrap alone. So just making better strings, they last longer.
Yeah. So the string subscriptions are actually a great thing that anybody can give to the guitarist in their life. But you also have the sweatshirts and the hoodies and the guitar straps and other things on special that are great gifts for guitar players to give to their significant others. So we should mention that as well. And the reason I mention that is because I have noticed on some of the online marketplaces, things to do with looking in the mirror, that there are people who try to offer Santa Cruz branded items that are not made by Santa Cruz, and the quality is highly suspect, which is not the case when you buy those things directly from the Santa Cruz shop. Your quality level is outstandingly high and worth the little extra that you would pay over the t-shirt that somebody's selling on the street corner. So we should emphasize.
I appreciate that. Yeah, we want everything we do to represent the same respect for our customers as we do in our guitars. And price isn't our target. It's the quality of that. And for some people, they're maybe they want to get one to paint in, and they should get one for $8. But anything we offer is always going to be the best quality that we can find in that. And you're right. There's people that just pick up brands and print stuff all over. And sometimes we can ask them to stop, and they will. Sometimes we have no idea where they are. So you can always vet it through us. You can call us by phone.
Right.
My 35th anniversary shirt it still looks great. And that was 15 years ago. I
Oh, that's great.
Open my
and it still
shirt.
Sounds good too.
Yeah, it still sounds great. It's got this really nice patina to it in a few areas. Richard, what a great message to go into a holiday centered on gratitude. That
Yeah.
that you're the luckiest guy in the world to get to make these guitars.
Well, it's always hard for you to know where you are compared to other people's perspective, but it's sinking in. Yeah, I think I am the luckiest guy in the world. Thank you.
It's pretty amazing. To take this level, you're talking about a rose diamond that I haven't seen since 1900, and we're talking about all these and compare it, because that's what it is. It's not a piece of wood. I mean, it's a life form.
Yeah. Well, and I think we're all pretty darn grateful to be able to play them and have access to them, and it speaks to Richard expanding that operation rather than just building them one at a time by himself, where very, very few people would have the opportunity to get one or play one or try one. By having expanding that knowledge and sharing it with others, and creating this organization that's able to make enough instruments that more of us are able to get them. That's fan. I'm very grateful for that.
Yeah, thank you for bringing that up, Ted.
I want to close with something that came out in a podcast. And when we talked to Lisa Liu, she said that when her guitar came and it said wait 48 hours to open it up, she wrote a song called Anticipation. And when she opened the case, guitar out, she said the song just fell out of the guitar. And
that's awesome.
We were our conversation with Billy Litz on number 65. He had exactly the same thing to say about getting his guitar. And he said he sat there and he got the box and it said don't open it for 48 hours. And he said there's two people on my shoulders. There's this one guy says, open it up. What's the matter with you? And there's this other one going, no, be a good boy. Be a good boy. Open it up. Open it up. Open it up. Be a good boy. Be a good boy. He said it. Did he make it? Yeah, I think he remembers saying he made it for the most part, Dad, to the end of it. But
he did nice in the video.
Yeah, it was really funny listening to tell the story, just because, again, he knew the magic that was inside that box, and he just couldn't wait to get to it.
Excellent.
Good.
Well,
if I could go ahead, you first, Tab, but I wanted to give you a little closer as well too.
No, that's what I was going to do, is to try and kind of wrap this up here, since all of us are kind of anxious for getting our final preparations for Thanksgiving going here.
That's great. I went and picked it. We have this awesome little country market near me that caters to the antique Czechoslovakian and Hungarian crowd that used to that brought in the apples and some of the crops here, and there's still some of those people here. But they smoke meats and stuff like that. And I went and got the box of stuff for Thanksgiving tomorrow, and I walked out the door, and just like Billy List was talking about, angel on one shoulder and the devil on the other. The devil was saying, "Just sit here on the curb right now and eat it all." I wanted to talk about the upcoming NAMM show. This is where we present ourselves to the world, and for a lot of people, that's the only time they ever see us or hear about us. We don't have a huge ad campaign, and we've been there for many years, several decades, and people are used to walking in and seeing a line of maybe 18 guitars, showing all the different things that we do. And this year, what people will see is they'll see 4 guitars in cases that we just described. And I want to let our fans and listeners know that some people may go, is this where they're going? No, we've always been there. We've always had those capabilities. What we're doing is we're showing people those possibilities for all the reasons we just talked about. We're not moving into guitars that are like unobtainable because of the cost. We're still here doing what we've always done, and this is an ability to show people what we're capable of that they might not ever see. And part of that paradigm is when somebody gets a really expensive custom guitar for us, they tell the store, "Don't unwrap the box. Wait till I get there. I don't want anybody else touching it or playing it." So no one ever knows about it. And this is our chance to show that what we can do.
Wow.
Well, so one quick last question. Are these guitars sold?
Yes and no. So some of them are spoken for. Some of them we intentionally held in reserve because it's just fun.
Yeah.
We go to the show and it's available. People want to talk about it, and it's part of the thrill of acquisition with that. So yeah, we have some of them people don't really know about yet. You know more than some of our dealers right now, based on my description.
So for people who are listening to this podcast and
Like tomorrow.
Yeah, tomorrow, call
Yeah.
the shop and
Nobody's gonna be there. So much, Richard.
Again, you know me, I can't help but do this. I could be the luckiest guy in the world. And it's a byproduct of, what my values, what I was taught growing up, what I get through experience, what I get through faith. And that is, doing the right thing by others, and you'll get more than you give. And again, when I was like 25 years old, that's what you expect of a 25-year-old. But 50 years later, it's worked. We run a solid business, we're trusted, and life is good. And that's my message to anybody. There's no reason to compromise. And whatever you do, any job you have, is you're in a job of service to others. And if you think of it that way, the rewards you get from your job will be much, much greater. You'll have some fun. And of course, my gratitude to you guys for believing in what we do, our cause really, and helping us to amplify that.
Honor,
Happy Thanksgiving.